1999, a time of Y2K panic, boy bands ruling the charts, and TV networks desperately trying to launch the next big hit. But for every Sopranos or West Wing, there were plenty of shows that crashed and burned faster than a dial-up connection. Today we're looking back at 10 TV shows from 1999 that completely flopped. Some were overhyped spin-offs, others had big-name creators, and a few were just bad. So grab your frosted tips and flip phones, because we're diving into the TV graveyard of 99. Number 10, Sons of Thunder.
Well, you'll find the Sons of Thunder underneath the Texas skies, and the spirit that was thunder is shining in their eyes.
Imagine Walker, Texas Ranger, but somehow even cheesier. That's Sons of Thunder, a short-lived 1999 spin-off that proved you can have too much roundhouse kicking in one TV universe. The series premiered on March 6, 1999 on CBS, but its origin story began in Walker, Texas Ranger Season 4, Episode 24, a 2-hour pilot that introduced us to Detective Carlos Sandoval and Army Sergeant Trent Malloy. Trent comes back to town after his father, the wonderfully named Reverend Thunder Malloy, dies of a heart attack. Deciding that the Army is just not Texas enough, Trent quits and sticks around. Meanwhile, Walker and his partner Trevette are hunting a serial cop killer. And when Carlos ends up on the hit list, Trent jumps in to help. Together they take down the bad guy in classic Walker fashion. Lots of fists, very little realism. If you've ever wondered what happened when you take Chuck Norris's signature brand of over-the-top action, mix in some wooden acting, and slap a mullet on it, well, Sons of Thunder was your answer. Unfortunately, the magic didn't strike twice. The show lasted just 6 episodes before CBS roundhouse kicked it off the air. Number 9, Total Recall 2070. Imagine thinking you're about to watch Total Recall, but instead you get Blade Runner on a budget. That was Total Recall 2070, a sci-fi series that debuted in January of 1999, first on Canada's On TV and later on Showtime in the US. The show followed a detective working for a futuristic police agency who gets partnered with a rookie officer who, surprise, is actually an android. Together, they butt heads with both the assessor's office and the all-powerful corporations of the Consortium, which basically runs the world. Now, despite the Total Recall name, this show had about as much to do with the Arnold Schwarzenegger classic as a dollar store action figure does with the real thing. Instead, the plot felt way closer to Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, aka the book that inspired Blade Runner. And while Blade Runner is a masterpiece of cyberpunk noir, Total Recall 2070 was more like its distant, slightly confused cousin. Fans expected the high-energy, mind-bending action of Total Recall, but were instead treated to a slow-burn detective story with existential android angst. After 22 episodes of mixed reactions and unmet expectations, the show was quietly retired, probably with less drama than a Total Recall-style memory wipe. Number 8, Movie Stars. What happens when you take Hollywood glamour, family sitcom antics, and a whole lot of nepotism? You get Movie Stars, a WB comedy that premiered on July 11th, 1999, and quietly exited stage left after just 22 episodes. The show followed a Hollywood power couple, raising their kids in Malibu, living next door to Tom Hanks, who, fun fact, never actually appeared on the show. Maybe he saw the scripts. But the real casting gem, the show's bold decision to feature Joey Travolta, Don Swayze, and Frank Stallone as a group of poker buddies. It was like Hollywood's version of the Whack Pack, despite having Jennifer Grant, daughter of Cary Grant, and Harry Hamlin from LA Law and Mad Men. The show just didn't land. Reviews were brutal and some critics saying it couldn't be worse. which was an impressive distinction in late 90s sitcom. After 22 episodes, the WB did what had to be done and pulled the plug, sending movie stars straight to the bargain bin of forgotten TV history. Number 7, Harsh Realm. What happens when you mix The Matrix, The X-Files, and a VR war game with a renegade general? You get Harsh Realm, a sci-fi thriller that debuted on October 8, 1999 on Fox, only to be unceremoniously scrapped after just 3 episodes. The show followed Lieutenant Hobbs, played by Scott Barstow, who's sent into a virtual reality war simulation to take down General Santiago, played by Terry O'Quinn, a rogue military leader who hijacked the program. Along for the ride was D.B. Sweeney as Mike Pinocchio, because every cyber dystopia needs a guy named after a wooden puppet. With X-Files mastermind Chris Carter at the helm and Breaking Bad creator Vince Gilligan involved, Harsh Realm had serious potential. But Fox executives, worried about its 8 p.m. time slot, asked Carter to tone down the violence, at which point he reportedly responded with a polite, "Go F yourself." Despite a solid 7.5 million viewers at launch and mostly positive reviews, the new Fox president deemed it too violent and yanked it from the schedule, after airing just 3 of its 9 episodes. Adding to the drama, the creators of the Harsh Realm comic book, which loosely inspired the show, sued over not being credited. The lawsuit was settled, their names were added, but the damage was done. Fox essentially banished Harsh Realm to the TV afterlife, though FX aired the remaining episodes in April of 2000. Unfortunately, by then the show had been trapped in its own harsh realm of forgotten 90s sci-fi flops. Number 6, Snoops. David E. Kelley had the Midas touch in the 90s, creating hits like Ally McBeal, Doogie Howser MD, Picket Fences, Chicago Hope, and The Practice. But even the greats have their misfires, and Snoops was his. Premiering on ABC on September 26, 1999, Snoops followed the unconventional detective agency Glenn Hall Inc., led by Glenn Hall, played by Gina Gershon. Her team included Roberta Young, a detective willing to do anything to solve a case, Manny Lott, the tech wizard, and Dana Plant, a former Santa Monica cop trying her hand at the PI life. On paper, it had all the makings of another Kelley hit: quirky characters, fast-paced cases, and sharp dialogue. In reality, it never found its footing. Audiences just weren't tuning in like they had for his previous shows, and ABC pulled the plug after airing only 10 of the 13 episodes. Fun fact, a young Emmy Rossum of Shameless fame popped up in 2 episodes as Caroline Beals, but even her future star power couldn't save Snoops from vanishing into TV obscurity.
You said over the phone you were 18.
I will be 18 in 4 years.
Well, I'm afraid you're gonna have to come back then. I'm not allowed to take cases.
I need you. I need you to find my birth mother.
Number 5, The Strip.
There's talk on the streets where the city never sleeps.
UPN had a knack for taking big ideas and turning them into, well, UPN shows. Case in point, The Strip, which debuted on October 12, 1999, and barely lasted long enough to cash in its chips. The show starred Sean Patrick Flannery and Guy Torry as former Las Vegas Metro detectives, who traded in their badges for a gig as troubleshooters at a Caesar's Palace. Basically security with a little extra punch. Also starring the widely recognizable Joe Vitarelli as Cameron Green.
Mr. Pendergrass has just pointed out a couple of items, like 14 cases of Yoo-hoo.
Their job? Protecting the casino's interests, which, in classic late 90s fashion, meant solving crimes, busting heads, and looking cool while doing it. The series had one thing going for it: authentic Vegas vibes. Shot on location at Caesar's Palace and the Stratosphere, it actually looked the part. Unfortunately, that was about all it had going for it. The ratings were abysmal, and of the 10 episodes produced, only 9 made it on air before UPN cut its losses. Interestingly, despite being produced by Warner Brothers Television, executive producer Joel Silver thought UPN was a better fit than the WB. In hindsight, it didn't really matter. This show was dead on arrival no matter what network it landed on. The strip came, the strip flopped, and just like that it was gone, fading into obscurity faster than a bad bet at the blackjack table. Number 4, Rescue 77. The WB took a swing at a firefighter drama with Rescue 77, which premiered on March 15, 1999. Unfortunately, it burned out faster than a cheap firework. The show followed a 3-person paramedic team stationed at the fictional station 77 in Los Angeles. It was created by Gregory Wyden, a former firefighter who had already made a name for himself with Backdraft in 1991 and the cult favorite Highlander in 1992. His goal? To create a grittier, more realistic take on the lives of firefighters and paramedics. Something more grounded than classic shows like Emergency. But then Aaron Spelling came on board as an executive producer. And if there's one thing Spelling was known for, it wasn't gritty realism. Instead of a hard-hitting look at first responders, Rescue 77 turned into a glossy, melodramatic spectacle, because nothing says realism like impossibly good-looking people responding to life or death emergencies with perfect hair. The cast featured Christian Kane from Leverage as Wick Lobo, Victor Brown as Michael Bell, Marjorie Monahan as Kathleen Ryan, and the legendary Richard Roundtree as Captain Durfee. But even with a solid cast, the show completely missed the mark. After just 8 episodes, Rescue 77 was unceremoniously axed, proving that not every Spelling production could be a hit. Number 3, Wasteland.
Door, rushing to the job I hate, and the ticket on my windshield, so surprised. The truth is out.
Imagine Friends, but with more angst, less humor, and a shelf life shorter than a carton of milk. That was Wasteland, a drama about 6 20-somethings navigating life in New York after college. Premiering on ABC on October 7th, 1999, the show starred Sasha Alexander as Jesse, Marissa Coughlan as Donnie, Rebecca Gayheart as Sam, Brad Rowe as Tyler, Jeffrey D. Sams as Vince, and the pre-Parks and Rec Adam Scott as Philip, aka the Coffee Boy. With Dawson's Creek and the Vampire Diaries creator Kevin Williamson at the helm, ABC probably hoped for another teen to young adult hit. Instead, they pulled the plug fast, canceling Wasteland after just 3 episodes. That's not even enough time for people to remember the characters' names. Despite ABC giving it the cold shoulder, someone at Showtime must have been just as curious enough to see how it all ended. In 2001, they aired the remaining episodes on their short-lived Show Next channel, giving Wasteland a tiny, barely noticeable second chance at life. Too bad no one was watching. Number 2, Safe Harbor. With Seventh Heaven pulling in massive ratings for the WB, the network figured, hey, let's try another heartfelt family drama. Enter Safe Harbor, which debuted on September 20th, 1999, and sank just as quickly. The show followed John Loring, played by Gregory Harrison, a widowed father of 3 and sheriff of Magic Beach, Florida, as he raised his sons while searching for the truth behind his wife's death. Helping him was his eccentric mother, played by Golden Girls legend Rue McClanahan, who ran the local beachside motel. Rounding out the cast was child star Orlando Brown, because every late 90s show needed at least one Disney Channel alum. Created by Brenda Hampton, the same creator behind Seventh Heaven and The Secret Life of the American Teenager. Safe Harbor was given the Prime Post Seventh Heaven Monday night slot. But instead of sticking around for more small-town family drama, audiences promptly changed the channel. With viewership plummeting and Seventh Heaven's massive audience failing to carry over, Safe Harbor was canceled after just 10 episodes. Turns out, not every heartwarming family drama could hit Seventh Heaven levels of success. Sometimes they just wash away with the tide. Number 1, Time of Your Life.
Get this terrible place to be this mess. She's just a girl for me, and I want all the world to see that. Lie, 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 lie.
After the massive success of Party of Five, Fox decided to spin off one of its most popular characters, Sarah Reeves Marin, played by Jennifer Love Hewitt. Thus, Time of Your Life was born, debuting on October 25, 1999. Unfortunately, it turned out to be more of a bad time for ratings than the Fox hit had hoped for. The show followed Sarah as she moved to New York City to learn more about her biological mother's life while searching for her long-lost father. Along the way, she moved into her mom's old apartment and made a new group of friends, including struggling actress Rami Sullivan, played by a then unknown Jennifer Garner. Despite Hewitt's star power, she was still riding high off Party of Five and I Know What You Did Last Summer. Audiences just didn't care enough about Sarah's solo journey. Ratings were dismal, and midway through the season, Fox hit the panic button, yanking the show off the air for 5 months before bringing it back for the ill-fated Summer of Love promotion. Spoiler alert, no one showed up for the summer fling. Ratings were still abysmal and Fox immediately pulled the plug, leaving 7 episodes unaired in the US, though they did eventually surface in Europe. Turns out Time of Your Life was really just time to change the channel.